In the same way that no one gave you a handbook on how to grieve, no one gives a handbook to the non-grievers on how to support grievers. Now, I want to talk about that today. Perspective for all. I want to talk to the grievers on how to give grace to the non-grievers and vice versa, because there should be enough grace to go around. Let's get into it. Hey guys, before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to let you know that we've opened up for submissions. So if you have a story about loss, about healing, about your loved one that you lost, I'd love to hear it. And we might even feature it on a future show, or maybe even have you as a guest on our show. So using the link in the description or any of the links in our bios on our socials, you can submit your story there. And I'm really looking forward to reading them. And thank you in advance for being vulnerable and open with me and sharing with me. Let's jump into today's episode. I had someone reach out to me this past week, and shout out to Cayman. If you're listening, Cayman, I can't wait to talk about you. You're the best. But Cayman reached out to me, and Cayman said to me, I have a friend that is coming up on the year anniversary of her dad passing, and I don't know how to support her. Like, what can I do to show up for her? First things first. I felt so honored, and I thought, how cool is it that she cares so much about her friend, that she's reaching out to somebody who knows grief and who talks about grief to understand how to best be there for her friend. That is something that everyone should do. If the person that is grieving, that you know is grieving, has the capacity. When she reached out to me and she asked me that, it really made me recognize that non-grievers really don't know how to support grievers because they've never had to do something like that before. In the same way that you didn't know what grief looked like until you had to know what grief looked like, they don't know how to support you. And I think there's also a layer of empathy and sympathy and trying to empathize with you. And then there's multiple layers to this. But I really like to think back on myself before grief. And I encourage you to do the same. A little 25-year-old gal didn't know much of anything about grief. For me personally, I didn't grow up with a lot of loss in my family. I didn't grow up with a lot of loss around me. My great-grandmother passed away when I was probably like 11 or 10, maybe even younger than that. I genuinely don't even remember, but she was 95 and I lived in a different state than her at the time. So I didn't know grief at a deeper level. Like that didn't really compare to the loss of my mom, if you will. But I lost my great-grandmother. That loss impacted me because I saw my family being impacted by that loss. My dad lost his grandmother. She was really important to my dad. She was really important to my family. She was the matriarch of bringing my family to the United States from Cuba. She was a big deal in the family, but personally, I wasn't gravely impacted by that loss. So my point in saying all that is I didn't witness a personal loss on that level until I was 25 years old. I'm very grateful for that. And I know, especially after hearing so many of your grief stories and hearing from my friends that lost their parents so young, I am so blessed and so grateful to say that my first real experience with loss was at 25 years old when I lost my mom, which is also really young to lose your mom. But besides the point, if I think back to the 25-year-old and before Gabri, I for sure, without a doubt in my little mind, said, I'm so sorry for your loss. Oh, she's in a better place. Like, I have for sure said that. And when somebody would say that to me right after losing my mom, I remember being like, what a weird thing to say to me. But now looking back in time, that's for sure come out of my mouth. I not only said things like that, but I also like treated people poorly, and I was constantly go, 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 and all of these things. But my point in that is for the grievers specifically here, when you're thinking about people saying things to you like that, they're non-grievers. I want to pause for a second there too, because everyone experiences grief at some capacity. I lost my dog. I lost my job. Everyone experiences loss, and loss and grief come hand in hand. So I also want to throw out there that non-grievers, when I say non-grievers, I'm talking the people that haven't experienced deep grave loss in their life. That can look different for everyone. So I'm not here to tell you who that person is or what that thing is, but people that haven't experienced grave loss in their life is what I mean when I say a non-griever. Okay, so if they haven't grieved in that way, why would you expect them to know what to say to you? You shouldn't expect them to know what to say to you. But that kind of brings me to my next point. There was a recent podcast episode by Miss Mel Robbins. Mel, if you're listening to this, hi. I'm kidding. But there was a recent episode by Mel Robbins where she had David Kessler on. And David Kessler talks about how grief needs to be and deserves to be witnessed. And I really loved that. He talks about how you have to give people the space to talk about their grief and witness the grief happening in front of your eyes. And this really got me thinking about what a privilege it is to witness grief. Now, this is going to sound weird, but follow me for a second, okay? If you're watching an artist, you're watching a prodigy perfect their craft, okay? So you're watching a pianist and they are actively growing their craft and you're watching them become something great. That's what grief allows you to do. And it's interesting because I am rewriting myself in grief, but I'm also watching my dad grieve in a very different way than me. My dad met my mom when they were 14 years old. He spent his whole life with her. They did everything together. And I am having to watch my dad relearn life without her. And it breaks my heart to even talk about it or think about it. I say this often. I'm so sad that my mom died, but what breaks my heart is thinking about my dad living the rest of his life without her when he's not known anything but her. My point in that, though, is I'm actively watching him grieve and I'm learning so much about humans and about different types of grief. The thing about it is that everyone's going to die. Everyone is going to experience this type of loss. So if you're supporting a griever, witness their grief, learn from their grief, ask questions, sit in the uncomfortability of grief. I feel like people really try to overcompensate on how they show up for people because of their uncomfortability with death. And if you're somebody who is supporting a griever and you're listening to this, it's okay to not say anything at all. It's okay to ask your grieving friend what they need. And we can feel the overcompensation and we know when you're doing too much. And like I said, you don't know any better, and that's okay. So on the contrary, for the grievers, give the people that are attempting to support you grace and give them the space to do their best and tell them that what they're doing isn't helping you. They're learning. It's going to be uncomfortable. Listen, supporting a griever is hard. Being a griever is hard. And learning to sit with grief and allowing the grief in the space is super uncomfortable. It's like it's still to this day. I'm sitting in front of a camera talking to you about grief and it still gives me the creepy crawlies. It's a tough subject. Everyone needs to know that and get over it because we're changing the stigma here. My mom died and we're talking about it. Like I said before, it's better to sometimes not say anything at all. I think for a long time when I would have people try to be there for me, they would try to fix the grief and try to change it or try to, like I said, because it's uncomfortable. So how can I fix this when it can't be? And I think that's the perfect time to just stop. If you're feeling, I need to fix this, I'm uncomfortable, stop, check in with yourself and ask your grieving friend what they need. Simple as that. They're not always going to have an answer to that, and that's okay. But creating the space for them to share what they need, to share how they're feeling, to talk about their loved one that they lost, that is such an important thing that we don't get enough of. We really don't. I feel like as time continues to pass after loss, there's less and less space open for me to talk about my mom. And that's okay because my life doesn't move on from the grief, but everyone else's does. And that's kind of a part of it. But that's why it's really important to find your little spaces and your little communities, which is why I'm just so grateful that you're here. I will always listen to stories about your loved one. Matter of fact, jump to the comments really quick and tell me a story about them. Moving on. Next thing I want to dive deeper on that I've talked about before, but I feel like is a really important thing to talk about in this capacity as well, is the difference between empathy and sympathy. I recently posted a poem on my TikTok. I talked about this on that, and I kind of recognized that there is such a difference. And I put a few bullet points here that I want to read to you on the difference between empathy and sympathy that I feel are really important for non-grievers to understand, because what we need is empathy, but a lot of the time what we're getting is sympathy. I think that's a tough balance because it's hard for people to empathize when they genuinely don't know how it feels, but they really try to empathize. It's not a bad thing. I think it's a beautiful thing for someone to try to empathize, but as a griever, especially in the first year, it's kind of like, I don't know who you think you are trying to tell me that you know how I'm feeling right now, because you don't. But really, it's just their best attempts at comparing your grief to the closest thing. I'm gonna read this to you. Sympathy acknowledges loss, and empathy stays with it. So instead of saying, I'm sorry for your loss, sit with it. Empathy stays with it. Empathy stays with that loss and gives you the space to be in that loss. Go to the store, get a favorite snack, show up at their house, and just sit with them. If I could go back in time and actually be able to tell people what I needed, it's literally just space and just someone to sit with me. It's such an important thing. Sympathy often shows up as phrases and fixes. Empathy shows up as presence. Are you hearing a theme here? Sympathy is usually about easing the supporter's discomfort, not the griever's pain. Sympathy makes the supporter more comfortable, but it disregards the empathy that the griever needs. Empathy allows grief to be repetitive, messy, and unresolved. And I feel as though sympathy, like I said, sympathy needs to give grief structure. Newsflash! Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Grief doesn't have structure, and it never will. And honestly, every time somebody tries to give it structure, it doesn't fit for everyone. It's not a one size fits all moment. It's not a Brandy Melville, if you will. You know what I mean? People don't mean to harm, okay? They just haven't learned how to sit with pain. As grievers, we have learned to sit with pain. You have to learn how to sit with pain. Whether that's in the first, second, third, fourth year, it doesn't matter. You will eventually learn to sit with pain and learn how to hold pain and happiness at the same time. You're always going to be holding that pain. Most people don't know how to do that. I always say this, ignorance is bliss. What a beautiful thing that they don't know what it's like to have to hold this pain every single where they go. Everywhere. Doesn't matter where you're going. Grief is coming right along with you, babe. Annoying, beautiful, but understand that people trying to support you, unless they've also like lost a mom. I am so grateful and not grateful at the same time that majority of my friends are in the DPC, including all of you. I have so many people in my circle that have lost a parent. They will fill your cup in the way that other people can't, because not everybody will understand. Like I said, what a blessing. Last thing I'll say here is what really helped me from my friends that were supporting me was not advice, was not them attempting to make it better for them, but was the people that didn't leave. I had a lot of people leave, like a year and some change after my mom died. And what really meant the most to me, and to this day still means so much to me, were the people that didn't leave and that sat with me and that allowed my grief to be messy, and they didn't put themselves over me. A lot of people did that to me, and that's okay. Like I said, like they didn't know any better and they were looking out for themselves. I think that's really great that they were able to look out for themselves. I'll leave you with some practical steps moving forward, especially to my non-grievers. Like I said before, sometimes it is better to say nothing at all. If you think that you're going to say something that might hit a trigger, just shut your lips. Another thing is a reminder, like witness grief. Grief has so much opportunity in it. And that's not talked about enough, is the opportunity in grief, not only to witness it, but to actively change yourself by watching it happen to somebody else and prepare yourself for that grief as well. It's like such a beautiful opportunity that a lot of people don't see as an opportunity. I'm not telling you to like use your your grieving friends as like an opportunity to better yourself, but like use it as an opportunity to better yourself. Allow them a space to tell you what you're doing wrong. You'll learn more. It's a learning opportunity. It's a good thing. Give people grace, not only to the people that are attempting to support you in your grief, but to the non-grievers. Give your grieving friends grace too. Nobody gives anybody a book, babe. From all parties, nobody gives them a book. And you can't expect for people to know how to show up for you if you don't tell them. It's okay if you don't know how you need people to show up for you. Just say that if you need to. It's just everyone communicate, talk to each other, create space for each other to openly communicate what you need. And last but certainly not least, check in with each other. All right? To my non-grievers, or to my grief supporters, should I say, to my grief supporters, just check in. My favorite thing is when I get a text that's just like, I'm thinking about you today. Hey, I know that we're coming up on the anniversary of your mom's passing. I'm thinking about you. Hey, I know that your birthday can be really hard because it's not as special without her. I'm thinking about you. Hey, I know your mom's birthday's coming up and you always got to do those things together. I'm thinking about you. Hey, your mom's favorite song came on the radio today. Made me think about you. Check in with each other. I think that's the most important thing that you can do, is just a little check-in. Anyways, I'm really proud of you. Nobody tells us how to do this. And I hope that this episode was a reminder to you that nobody tells anybody how to do any of this. Even from the people that are trying to support you, this is new for them too. So if you're listening on YouTube, you already know the drill. Like, subscribe, hit that little bell for a little kiss on the forehead for me every time we post a new video. In the comment section below, tell me something that you wished your non-grieving friends or your grief-supporting friends would know. I'm curious. I love you, dude. We're in this together. And although I'm sad you're here, I'm also really grateful. All right. Talk to you soon. Check in with your friends today. Love you. Bye.